Weiss+Associates presents What Constitutes a Trade or Business? Our website and video library have gone into extensive detail regarding the intentionally deceptive terms used by the national government, terms whose legal definition is considerably different than the meanings used in everyday conversation. We now know that there are two United States, and thus two versions of U.S. citizen. We've also gleaned that the government-conjured term non-resident alien individual actually defines those sovereign people born in one of the now 50 states of the Union or naturalized therein. If you haven't already seen those educational videos, please check out our entire video library located in the Resource Center of our website, Weiss+Paris.com. We have videos specifically targeted to those individual terms, as well as many other insightful offerings. Now, we focus on another term whose legal definition is vastly different than the meaning used in everyday conversation, and that term is trade or business. We find at 26 CFR section 1.871-1A that the tax obligation of non-resident aliens is extremely limited. Let's review this implementing regulation again. Non-resident alien individuals are taxable only on certain income from sources within the United States, and on the income described in Section 864C4 from sources without the United States, which is effectively connected for the taxable year with the conduct of a trade or business in the United States. However, non-resident alien individuals may elect, under Section 6013G or H, to be treated as U.S. residents for purposes of determining their income tax liability under Chapters 1 and 24 of the Code. Keep in mind again that non-resident aliens are American nationals, those born in the 50 states or naturalized into the constitutional republic. Also, it's important to distinguish that the United States, used in Title 26, refers only to the statutory version, meaning the District of Columbia and the U.S. territories. We also stress the last sentence that refers to the election to be taxed. We'll get to that later in this video. Now, let's examine the first sentence to see what income sources are taxable to a non-resident alien. The first part, sources within the United States, describes income from the District of Columbia or a U.S. territory. Remember again, that is the statutory definition of United States. So, within the United States really means within D.C. and the territories. That would include income from some sort of federal scheme, like a government program such as Social Security. The taxable threshold for Social Security income is fairly high, like $25,000 a year. Please check with the Social Security Administration to verify this figure, as it may change. Now let's break down the second part of the first sentence, sources without the United States, which is effectively connected for the taxable year with the conduct of a trade or business in the United States. Of course, without the statutory United States would include the 50 states, as Colorado is outside the federal zone. So, we're generally talking about income earned in one of the 50 states. Now we get to the term trade or business, because according to this implementing regulation, income earned in a sovereign state is taxable only if that income was derived from the conduct of a trade or business. So the definition of a trade or business is located at 26 U.S.C. section 7701A26 to mean the performance of the functions of a public office. Income earned in one of the 50 states is taxable if you hold some sort of federal public office, and not if a non-resident alien is simply engaged in private enterprise in any of the 50 states. This is an important distinction, since many who are unfamiliar with the language tricks used by the lawmakers would probably draw the wrong conclusion. For example, an electrician in San Francisco looking at this might think he is engaged in a trade inside the United States. Also, the owner of a Dallas flower shop may consider his income taxable as he runs a business in the United States. This is why we so often stress knowing the definitions of terms, as the legal definition is very different than the colloquial use. Neither the electrician nor flower shop owner is engaged in a statutory trade or business without the United States, as neither holds a federal public office. Also, the use of the word without has a meaning, and it's generally the opposite of within. This distinction has more meaning when we understand that there are two United States, and the Internal Revenue Code, Title 26, only defines the United States as being the District of Columbia and the territories. So now, do you see what without the United States means? It means outside the statutory United States, and a sovereign state like Kentucky is without the United States. I know this sounds nitpicky, but understanding this distinction is vital to decoding the purposely convoluted language within the Internal Revenue Code. And I'm sure you can imagine that the national government would benefit greatly by having as many people remain in the dark as to the gamesmanship they've been engaged in for over 100 years. So, to reiterate, non-resident aliens have taxable income only if they're part of some sort of federal money-making scheme, or they hold some sort of federal public office that they've clearly taken an oath to defend. Again, there are thresholds for reporting income from a federal money-making scheme like Social Security or Treasury bonds. It's up to you to know what those reporting thresholds are. Money earned by non-resident aliens in the private sector is not taxable. If you're unsure what a non-resident alien is, please see our educational video on that topic. A link to that video appears in the show notes below. Now, on to the second sentence, where it states, however, non-resident alien individuals may elect, under Section 6013G or H, to be treated as U.S. residents for purposes of determining their income tax liability under Chapters 1 and 24 of the Code. Resident aliens have an entirely different set of rules regarding their tax liability. Let's look higher up at 26 CFR Section 1.871-1A, where it states, resident alien individuals are, in general, taxable the same as citizens of the United States. That is, a resident alien is taxable on income derived from all sources, including sources without the United States. So, we see that resident aliens, generally those are foreigners who must be granted permission by the national government to earn a living in either the constitutional or statutory United States, have the same tax liability as statutory citizens, meaning those born in D.C. or the territories. Their income is taxable from all sources. So, for example, a citizen of France has obtained a green card to work. It doesn't make a difference whether that job is in Chicago or in D.C., or whether that job is in the private sector or public sector. The income of that resident alien is taxable. That person shares the tax liability as someone who is born in the District of Columbia or a territory like Puerto Rico. This implementing regulation states that non-resident aliens may elect to have their limited tax liability be the same as resident aliens, which of course basically means all their income. Now, why would anybody with a limited tax liability ever voluntarily elect to broaden their own tax burden? Well, many people have unfortunately been scammed into that through social custom. The election the regulation refers to is the filing of that non-resident alien's first Form 1040 income tax return. This is how they join the very expensive U.S. tax club, and by being a member, the annual renewal payments become obligatory in future years until the member revokes his or her membership. And yes, there is a legal process to revoke that membership, and it's called the Revocation of Election process. We invite you to watch the educational video regarding the revocation of election. The link to that video also appears in the show notes below. This process helps return non-resident aliens working in the private sector to their true born status without the obligation to file and pay the federal income tax. We invite you to peruse the many educational videos we've created by going to the resource center of our website, Weiss+Paris.com. If you have any questions or comments, please email them to bilateral@gmx.com. Please smash the like button if you found this video informative and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.